This is the things I was going to be drawing, and I decided this week that instead of doing free painting like we did last week, we'd go right over to the other direction and do a very controlled drawing. So I'll just take you quickly, sorry to say, through what I did with the group here while we were offline. What I did was to make a mark where I thought the top of the head would be, ignoring his top knot. Then, thank you, I put a little line where I thought his chin, the bottom of his chin was there, and used that distance as my measuring distance. So I used that and walked down the figure, taking the 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. down to the bottom. And I've used that as the bottom. So I took that and measured it all the way down to the bottom here and put a mark where the bottom was. Then I had a look at the head. And if you drop the center line from where I did, because the face is tilted back and he's looking up, the center line doesn't go through the center of his face, which is at an angle. It actually goes through one eye. Is this my drawing or your drawing? Did I draw this or did you? The lines. I put them. Right, okay. No, I didn't. There's not enough of them. That's the other one, yes. Sorry, that was a little chat. Yes, I did. So the next, having got the center line, I then decided I want to mark where the point of his jacket was on this hand. So I drew a line on the paper here. There it is, where it touched his sleeve, and by measuring, I found that that was nearly 2 heads in that direction. So that's where that line is, and that point there is where the point of his jacket is, and that point there, slightly in of the center line, is where that finger is. Then I drew another line down this side through the point of the block that he's standing on to give me a reference, and measured how far out that was, and it's out here. So that gives me an idea of how wide the figure is. And then I counted down to where the left hand touches the bottom of the left hand there. And it's somewhere on that line there. So when I come to draw this line in, the hand will reach this line here. And so on. I think it's fairly clear. I hope it is. If there are any questions you want to ask me, would you unmute yourself and ask them? Right. No questions. Right. Well, I think I better proceed to do a bit of painting. Right. You people can see, can't you? Right. So I'll move that. Now here's one I did earlier. So I'm going to give you at least the beginning of an indication on how to tackle him when you spent such a lot of time drawing him in the first place. There are a number of problems about this because he is, he hasn't got a waist. It's difficult to get the lines and angles of his jacket right. He's actually even slimmer than I have made him. But there we are, that's life, isn't it? Sorry, I'm not really properly. This has been a right scandal. Right. So now you can do him any color you like. Absolutely any color you like. Because I haven't really thought about it, I'm just going to go with raw umber as my color, because life is short. I think that is, I don't think that looks too brown to me. Okay, we'll stick with that. He is terracotta after all, so he's a brownie red. So I'm not gone with raw umber, I've gone with burnt sienna. Now I'm going to put quite a thin wash. I'm just going to do his jacket, this coverall that he's got on, which to me looks very much as if it's made of leather or wool, felted wool or something like that. Very strange. Anyway, I'm going to leave that shoulder light, but I'm going to leave that hand and that bit up there light, I hope. So I can come down here on this part here. Now once you start, you've got to keep moving. And it goes down his arm. There. Now I'm just going as far as his cuff. I'm not going to and if I take some water off the brush and just run the brush up that, it just softens the line and makes it could I have some more water, Rachel? There we are. Thank you. Right, now and you've got to keep moving because it's well done. Thank you. You've got to keep moving, otherwise you end up in trouble. Right, and we'll do this side. That was an indiscretion. There we are. This is burnt sienna, it's good stuff. There, and I can take it down there, go around that finger, and those fingers there. But this comes down here. Right, keep it coming. Keep it coming. You can always re-wet it. This is all I'm doing is this part here to show you what I'm doing. So I've done a sort of simple wash, leaving that bright patch there as the light catching him. That comes there. Right, now, if I make thicker paint, that is more paint, less water, and I introduce it where the shadows are dark and where I feel I can control it. It's a bit too subby up there, but if I come down here, sorry, is it gonna?
Yes.
This part is darker.
Oh, it's working.
So I want that to to run. If I actually put water on the whole of that, it's got somewhere to run into. Right, so he's got somewhere to run now, and I can. Right, now I want to darken that still further down here. So this is practically neat paint, putting it into wetness so that it will move. But it won't move too much. I don't want it to gallop. This is quite strong down here. If you paint is being difficult, that's quite strong there, quite strongly marked, and it's quite strongly marked there. Not too worried about that line up there. I can put that in afterwards. This appears to have dried out rather nicely here, so there's a bit of a shadow there. And this is very strong here. Really throws up that hand as dark. And the dark goes across his tummy pretty well. There's a bit of light catching him there. I don't know how this stuff catches the light. So while the wash is wet, I can keep on adding more and more paint to it. Oh, that's why. His robe comes to a sort of point here. And that's what is throwing up a bit of light. I presume it's his knee. He's pushing the fabric so that it's got a touch of light on it. There. Right. It's got a bit adventurous there. So if I can take it out, I will. Quite a crisp edge there. Well, that's taken that out quite nicely, hasn't it? Yeah, well done. Well done, Steve. Right. And you can see it moving while that quite firm streak I put there has moved quite appreciably since I put it on. Right. Now, this actually... That's very wet there. It's actually puddling. So what I ought to... Oh, gosh, got the wrong paint. No mind, eh? That's a lie. But you can see how by adding... That might be the way to do it. If I darken this down with... yes, that's coming nicely. Now, that is raw umber drifted into the wet wash. It's really pushing the dark nicely, isn't it? It's really making it as dark as it is, which is great. And because the edge is not definite, it gives a more rounded effect to the fellow and how he is. I think I could take some of that dark and push it in here now. Yeah, so the robe is beginning to form as we work. Right, so maybe I can go up here and put that. I'm just going to dry that off a bit up there because I want a nice crisp edge here. Which I'm not getting at this end, but I did get it at the other end. Again, if I want to save it, I can just mop it up with a dry cloth. As usual, in too much of a hurry, you know. That's called being Steve, I think. And then we've got a dark shadow under his chin. There. And if I clean off the brush and dry it, whoops, that was my hanky. No, it isn't. I can probably take that up into his face. Not in entirely the right place or the right shape, but it's just about in the right place there. So beginning to do that now. I want that to be much darker. That blur there isn't good, so I'm going to see if I can rescue that. I think I'll just have to be patient and put that in later when I can see what I'm doing. But you can see he's beginning to come now. So let's see what we can do with the burnt sienna. If we look here on this cuff here, the hand comes out of a solid sleeve. So that part is dark. And that is too wet. I'll just take some water out of that. Go back to my dark, which was the umber, and start again there. That's quite a right, and if I got a bit of paint here, so I'll just use that to put a pale wash of his hand there under his. On again. Now his thumb will actually be defined by what's behind it, so that will be another feature. How are we doing for time?
It seems to be perfectly happy at the moment.
Where you put it on. Yeah. Right, now if I put this bit here, right, that's showing that, and that, there, and that is actually not as dark out there. So I've dried the brush and I'm going to take some of that paint off. But it's come off without a hard edge, which is what I wanted. That's great. And I've got a nice crisp edge there. This needs to go up a bit. So you've got plenty of time to faff on, because all I'm trying to do is the coat. I'm not worried about his legs and the rest of his body or the background or anything. I'm just concentrating on getting his coat, and his hands and his face and whatever properly put in. Now, I think the thing to do now is to let that dry before I do any more. And I think we'll close it there.
Okay, so we still don't know quite what Zoom is going to do to us, and we don't know how successful any of this is going to have been. But we are going to close it now and hope that EE have got themselves together by next week. So it was nice seeing you, if only briefly. Bye-bye.